comment briefly on testing? Christopher Rose asks, what is your stance on inexpensive, rapid, non-PCR home tests that could be affordably deployed?
Well, it's interesting because somehow there, again, seems to be this for testing against testing kind of thing, which is not the case. Our group has written a lot on this. We have a document on our website called A Viewpoint. It's a overview on smart testing, having the right infrastructure in place for making a test with the right test given to the right person at the right time for the right result and the right outcome. And in many instances, the testing we've done in this country has had little impact in any of those. The challenge we have with testing today is not the theory of testing, it's the real life event. And what I mean by that is, I'm happy to have people be tested. I'd encourage people to know and be tested. But if you look today, we have a third of the population in the US that doesn't really believe that this pandemic is real. They think it's a hoax. You've got an increasing number of people who are bubbled, who don't really need to be tested because they, in fact, are not being exposed. And then you've got groups like college students, where today we're seeing a very large number of young adults who are basically foregoing testing. They won't be tested. That's one of the problems we're having in college campuses right now. Up to 2/3 of them won't participate in testing or any kind of contact tracing. Having an available daily test for them is not going to help them. This morning I was on CBS Morning News, and the piece that ran along with me was actual footage from a college party where there were actually students who were willing to say on camera, yeah, I've tested positive this week. I have COVID. I don't give a damn. I'm here. And they were actually test positive this week, and they were at a party. And so, part of it is the testing has to make a difference. It's the right outcome with the right test. And so one of the challenges we have is if you do use these rapid tests, don't expect the kind of big population impact that you think is going to happen, because many people have already taken themselves out of that potential category. The second thing is, and this is not by itself a criticism, in that if you do it enough times, you're right, you're going to pick it up. But many of these tests have sensitivities of 50 to 70% at most. Even the new Abbott Binox test, which has been touted as having 97% sensitivity, meaning that they tested 35 samples and got 34 of them right for their FDA submission, and knowing what the levels of virus activity were in those samples. They have a very similar test out for influenza, which has been touted as a great test. Right on the CDC website, it says don't use these tests. They're so ineffective at documenting someone's real infection status if they're clinically ill. So CDC says never use these tests for diagnosis. You have to use a PCR-based type technology. And so if you want to screen with them, fine. Just know that they're going to have some real problems with sensitivity. And then if they are in fact positive, what do you do then? Will people stay at home? Will they do their own contact tracing, et cetera? And we're finding more and more people that don't want to know that. If they're not clinically ill in a way that means they have to seek health care, they're reluctant. And I don't want to sound jaded that Americans aren't going to respond, but I mean, we're seeing it front and center right now in a way that I could never have imagined in my career. It's a real challenge.